Every thriving neighborhood has a story. Drive through some of Abuja's most desirable communities today, and it's easy to admire the beautiful homes, the paved roads, and the vibrant atmosphere. But very few people ever get to see how those communities began. Long before the first family moved in, long before the roads were busy, long before property values began to rise, there was simply land, an idea, and a vision. This is the story of Apo Legacy 1, not from the day it was completed, but from the very beginning. Back in May, this wasn't an estate. It wasn't a construction site. It was simply a piece of land with enormous potential. To many people, it looked ordinary, but for those who understand real estate, this was where the future would begin. When we first invited prospective buyers to inspect the property, they weren't coming to see finished houses. They were coming to see possibility. As we walked through the site together, the survey beacons were identified, clearly defining the property's boundaries. But identifying the land wasn't the most important part of the day. Understanding the vision was. For the very first time, we shared what this land was destined to become. A thoughtfully planned residential estate known as Apo Legacy 1. One designed with intentional planning from the ground up. As the conversations continued, something else became obvious. Great developments don't happen in isolation. The environment around them matters. Surrounding the property was infrastructure that had already begun laying the foundation for future growth. Dualized access roads, underground drainage systems, and perhaps most importantly, other reputable developers had already begun investing in the area. Development wasn't expected to come. It had already started. The land was waiting for its next chapter. Then came the machines. Anyone who has ever built anything knows that dreams eventually give way to hard work. Soon, excavators and graders arrived on site. The quiet landscape was replaced by the sound of heavy equipment shaping the future. One of the first engineering challenges quickly revealed itself. A natural stream crossed part of the access route into the property. For some, it might have looked like an obstacle. For the engineers, it became another problem to solve. Work immediately began to create a permanent access point. Excavation started around the stream. Massive culvert rings arrived on site. Piece by piece, the foundation of a bridge began to emerge. It wasn't simply about crossing water. It was about creating access, because every successful community begins with connectivity. While that work continued, another important transformation quietly began around the edges of the property. The perimeter, its boundaries were carefully marked, and excavation began for what would become the estate's perimeter fence. For many people, a fence simply marks where a property begins and ends. But in reality, it represents something much bigger: security, identity, the first visible sign that an open piece of land is becoming a defined community. As the days passed, the pace of progress became impossible to ignore. The graders continued reshaping the landscape, carefully leveling the terrain in preparation for future development. The vision became easier to imagine. And while construction moved forward, something equally important continued happening. People kept coming. More prospective buyers visited the site, not because everything had already been built, but because they wanted to understand where the future was heading. During these inspections, conversations extended beyond the physical land itself. Experts explained the property's documentation, confirming that it carries an FCDA-approved certificate of occupancy, together with the supporting documents required for ownership. Visitors also learned about the government infrastructure already serving the area, and why experienced investors often pay attention to locations before everyone else recognizes their value. As construction continued, our cameras remained on site, not simply to capture beautiful images, but to document the journey with transparency. Every stage, every milestone, every improvement. Because years from now, when homes stand proudly across this estate, we'll be able to look back and remember exactly how it all began. Then came another milestone. The bridge was complete. What had once interrupted access had now become a smooth route into the property. The graders continued their work shaping the land beyond it. Along the perimeter, blocks rose steadily from their foundations. In some sections, the fence had already climbed above waist height. Day after day, the boundary became stronger, more defined, more permanent. Construction, however, is about much more than concrete and machinery. Sometimes progress depends on solving simple, everyday challenges. One of those was water. Rather than transporting water from distant locations, the engineering team developed a practical solution. Using a pump and generator, water from the nearby stream was channeled directly to the work area, providing a reliable supply for concrete mixing and ongoing construction. It's these small, thoughtful decisions that often keep large projects moving efficiently. But construction sites are about more than engineering. They're about people. They're about relationships. They're about the moments that happen between the work. One afternoon, while construction continued around us, some members of the local community introduced us to one of their traditions. They had caught a wild chicken. We watched it being cleaned, roasted over an open fire, seasoned, and shared among everyone on site. It was one of those unexpected moments that remind you construction isn't just about building places. It's about becoming part of a community. As work progressed, one thing became increasingly clear. Momentum wasn't slowing down. Even when block supplies began running low, new deliveries arrived immediately, ensuring work never stopped. Every sunrise brought another visible improvement. Every day moved the project one step closer to becoming the community first imagined back in May. Today, Apo Legacy 1 is still being built, but what you're seeing isn't just construction. You're witnessing the earliest chapters in the story of a future neighborhood. Years from now, people will drive through these streets without ever knowing what this place looked like before the roads, before the homes, and before the community. But you'll know because you were here from the beginning and will continue documenting every step of the journey, from raw land to a thriving estate, one milestone at a time. NesVixion, the Viction to see beyond.